I'm just starting off with this podcast, but we have, a couple hundred people easy that listen to it and have been downloading it. So listen, mate, I always kind of start off recording as soon as we come on, because you never know what the chat's going to be like. But we'll actually officially get it started. So last name, mate. So it's Sam, is it Fisk? Is it?
Yeah, Fisk.
Cool. So welcome to the Fitness Burrito Podcast, a different name. I tried to make it different. This is going to be episode 10 or 11. So I'm pretty pumped about this one. So my name's Dan, for anybody who's tuning into this podcast, and I've got the pleasure of bringing on a really good chef by the sounds and looks of it on his social media. A guy called Sam Fisk. So pretty pumped for this one. A lot of people have been asking about like just food, nutrition. And I thought it'd be nice to get, a chef on just to kind of give us a bit of, his insight on things. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Sam. So just kind of, again, as much detail, as little detail, up to you, mate.
So, so my food journey as a chef started about 16 years ago. Studied in London, a college called Westminster College. It's quite well known for its catering.
Cool.
So that's where I kind of started off. I've done 3 years training there. It's kind of classically French, is how you get taught as a youngster, and it's a good foundation. It's a good foundation to build on. So that's where I started. And funny enough, after starting college at 16 and finishing at 19, I couldn't be in London anymore, traveling into London anymore. So I went straight to France, actually.
Oh, did you?
I've been a mad skier for most of my life. My parents took me as a kid, so I was like, why not? Let's go and cook and ski. So I got a job in a private chalet and was cooking for guests and skiing every day. So
that's awesome.
That was great fun.
We actually did that. Sorry, mate. We did a holiday a few years ago at a chalet with like a private chef and stuff. It was unreal.
It's good. It was good fun. And I mean, I think I literally skied every day, even though I was, doing breakfast, straight out on the slopes, back, prep for dinner, away we go. And was doing that 6 days a week for a season.
Mate,
so,
what a life.
Yeah, that was good times back then. And then made my way back to London pretty much. And I didn't really get too much into the hotel restaurant world, just because I knew the hours were horrific.
Yeah.
And found myself in the corporate industry. So cooking for clients at banks and things like that.
Okay.
So corporate hospitality is where I've ended up, and it's where I've been for most of my career. So you would be cooking higher-end restaurant-style food, but within a bank, within a law firm, things like that.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's a huge business in London.
Yeah.
Nearly all the law firms and big corporate banks and things, investment banks, they all have internal catering. So you have like a restaurant side of things where the bulk of the staff will go for lunch.
Yeah.
And then there's the corporate side. So that's kind of where I have been for most of my career. So cooking, fine dining, buffets, canapes, everything like that.
Yeah. How you finding that? You find it pretty...
so it's good because we have the flexibility of the work-life balance. So Monday to Friday, weekends off.
That's good, because I think a lot of chefs tend to be like, they tend to just work every hour under the sun, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So they're flat out. I've done a little bit of that early on when I come back from France, but just here and there. And then found myself in the corporate world, and I've kind of grown with that over the years. So that's pretty much my background now. So I'm a head chef now for Credit Suisse, which is a Swiss bank in London.
Okay.
So that's where I'm based at the moment for a catering company we're contracted in. So that's basically me. I won't go on too much more.
No, man, that's pretty cool. I bet you could dive into a bit more detail, but I like it, man. It gets people thinking. Just curious, you speak French at all?
Not really, no. And funny enough, I've been learning Spanish a little bit.
Oh, have you? No, I just asked because my first language is French. So anytime somebody's
cool.
I'm pretty bad at it now though, because nobody speaks French in England.
Funny enough, when I lived in France, I was trying my best to speak French, but you would speak French, and then the guy in the shop would just speak back to you in English.
It's the worst. The one thing about French people, man, it gets on my nerves. Like you go somewhere and you start speaking French, and they're just like, "Nah, you suck." I'm just gonna speak.
The only place I had to learn was like the butchers.
Okay.
the local butchers in France were like, they didn't speak a word of English, so you kind of went there with a bit of pen and paper and worked out what your order was, or just
draw
give
a
them your order
steak.
sheet. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Awesome. Well, appreciate that intro. So, so I know I sent you over a few questions and stuff like that, mate, and we'll just kind of we'll go through them as we go. But I think the first one, I know you chatted through a little bit earlier, but how's kind of obviously isolation impacted you, work, just things in general? I think it's just kind of cool to get people's insights from a day-to-day life perspective.
Yeah. So originally I was, I don't know, just trying to work out how the day-to-days were going to work out at home, two of us being at home, and all of a sudden realizing we actually go through so much more food than I'd ever realized.
Yeah.
That, two people living at home, 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
You go through a hell of a lot of food.
Yeah.
So straight away I was like trying to think the easiest ways of buying food rather than going out. So I contacted a few local suppliers and even some of my contacts through London that were delivering out this way. So getting the veg boxes delivered, going to the butchering, getting my meat and things like that. So that was cool, just to find a different way of actually sourcing produce rather than going to Tesco, Sainsbury's and walk around the shops.
Yeah. I bet you, not many people are doing that, I'd say, the way you're doing it.
So that was good, because then I would just get a veg box and wouldn't really know what was going to be in it. But being a chef, I'm like, this is cool. So I'm getting different stuff. I'm like, I've got to make something with whatever I've got. Yeah. So that's when I started doing a few of the videos on Instagram, because I thought there's probably so many people that are maybe in a similar position where they've got veg that they don't know what to do with, or just to throw a few ideas in the mix for people. So
it's probably made you more creative too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think that's the main reason I started it, because I wanted other people to maybe push people outside of their comfort zone from cooking the same, 7-8 meals that they have in their food bank. Yeah. So maybe, let's try this, or let's actually spend a bit more time doing something because I've got time now.
Yeah. It's actually one thing. It's one thing that's come up on a few of the recent podcasts. I had a guy from Glasgow who was really good with transformations, and he was saying one of the things he tries to get his clients to do is just basically just cook new meals. And he came out with a ridiculous stat. I forget how it was, but it was a really high percentage of people that basically don't know how to cook. So when you think about it, they're always getting takeouts. They're always getting just easy, quick meals, and then they wonder why they're struggling with maybe like relationship with food at times. Yeah, so exactly. I think what you're doing on Insta is a good shout.
I mean, I always think, people have their day to day and then they go, right, I'm going to the gym now. I'm going to spend an hour and a half in the gym, do what I need to do, go home. But then it comes to their meal and they're like, I just need to eat something quick. And they put any old rubbish together. And it's like, hold on, you spent all that time in the gym, working out. So why don't you just spend that extra 10, 15 minutes in preparing a meal, and you've got something far more, nutritious, or,
Yeah. And I think it comes down to competency though, right? Like it's one of those things you take for granted. Like again, you mentioned earlier how much food you realize you go through. We're my missus and I, and then we have a housemate, and like the amount of food we've been going through is mad. And we're not even eating that big of portions. We're just eating good food. But we're taking the time to cook it, which has been quite enjoyable. So completely relate to that.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess that's a cool little insight, I guess. And kind of cool how you're sourcing your food differently, I guess. Like, when's the last time you've actually gone to Tesco or Sainsbury's or something?
I don't think I have.
That's crazy. How the other half lives, guys. How the other half lives.
I've got a small corner shop that's got a bit of everything, So if there's a few dry ingredients I need, I'll just go to them. But I've been doing loads of baking, like making my own sourdough and selling it locally and things like that. So
cool.
That has been a tough one. Like flour, it's like hard to come by now.
Yeah, there's like a shortage. I heard it.
I think the world has turned into bakers through isolation.
Yeah, banana bread central, man. Banana bread everywhere.
Banana bread and lemon drizzle. That's it.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I managed to get a 16 kilo off a supplier, so I've got a big sack in the kitchen. I can make loads of bread.
That's when you know you're a chef, eh? Like you walk in. If I see a 16 kilo bag of flour, I know that guy's a chef. That's cool. All right, mate. So we'll move on to the next one. So for this one, I thought it'd be kind of cool to get your your kind of thoughts, or I guess your expertise when we're talking about like flavor, because this is one thing, even like the amount of time I've cooked and just grabbed like 5 random spices and just gone, fuck it, let's
Yeah.
just put this in together, right? So I thought I'd ask, like, what are some, I guess, mistakes maybe that you see people doing when it comes to flavoring, do's and don'ts? I guess just a bit of info on it, really. What do you
Yeah.
think?
So a massive don't for me is the jar sauces. That kills me. When I see people putting the Dormio tomato sauce in their,
Okay.
in their beef mince to make bolognese, I'm like, it just kills me because there's so much nonsense that's in there and extra. They're high in sugar, high in salt, and things like that. When
Yeah.
actually, all I use for a bolognese is a tin of chopped tomatoes,
Okay.
and the rest of it comes with seasoning, onions, garlic, mince, and a couple of bay leaves, and that's as basic as ingredients I put in my bolognese. But it's all about the care and the time and actually cooking the ragu down.
Okay.
That's where the flavour slowly builds. But I think people, when they make a bolognese, they want to make it really quick.
Yeah.
But it's not. You speak to any Italian, they'll take the ragu will be simmering away on the stove for quite a while.
Okay.
Where people will fry their mince, put a dormio in, 10 minutes boiling away, and then there you go. But you
Yeah.
have that you have that really like high tannin kind of tangy tomato sauce.
Okay.
Where when you make proper ragu and stew it down, it becomes more mellow but more rich.
Okay. So talk me through
That's just
that.
the bolognese.
Yeah, talk me through that process just for fun, because I think like
Right. So
I'm interested, so I want to know. So how
so
would you go
literally,
about doing it from start to finish?
for me, all I do is one chopped onion,
Okay.
a couple of cloves of garlic,
Yeah.
sweat that down in a pan. In a separate pan, I fry my mince down so you start to build colour, and you must season as you go. So
Okay.
season that mince and then get caramelisation on the beef.
Okay.
And then what I would do is put the beef mince into the other pan with the onions and garlic,
Mm-hmm.
and then say a big tablespoon of tomato paste.
Okay.
Mix that in, but you need to make sure you're mixing it and frying it a little bit, because when you fry tomato paste, it takes away the bitterness.
Okay.
And makes it slightly sweeter. And then I would add a tin of chopped tomatoes, a couple of bay leaves. I always put a pinch of sugar. You
Okay.
might find that weird, but that actually helps to bring out the sweetness of the tomato flavour, which
Mm.
and essentially when you eat a tomato, you want it to be nice, juicy and sweet. So
Yeah.
that just helps. And then just let it simmer away. And always when I have a tin of tomatoes, I have a tin of water, rinse the tin out, and that goes in the pot as well. And I would
Okay.
just simmer that away for like a good hour and bring it down slowly, really slowly. That's
Got
just
you.
ticking away.
So when you're
And then,
cooking sorry, mate, when you're cooking the onions and the garlic, like, are you high heating that while you're caramelizing the
yeah,
mince?
so you can get a little bit of caramelization on the onions and garlic, but you definitely don't want it to burn or go brown.
Okay. Got you.
Um, and then a lot of people wouldn't know this, but sometimes when you finish a ragu, you add a splash of milk.
Got you. Why would you do
Uh,
that?
that So I think it's like a traditional thing they do in Italy. And my Italian chef friend of mine was like, "Do you finish yours with milk?" And I was like, "Milk, no." And then I tried it, and it actually brought a really nice like creaminess,
Mm.
which kind of ties in with I guess the pasta.
Cool.
And that's as simple as it gets for me. I don't fuss. I don't put red wine. I don't put stock cubes
Mm.
or anything like that. So if you actually think about it, you've got a tin of tomatoes, onions and garlic, beef mince and tomato paste, and a bit of seasoning. So
Got you.
it's as simple as that. And I'm not. For me, it's kind of one that my mum taught me. She's a good home cook, and that's
Mm.
just kind of how she's done it. And I've always done the same. So
Yeah, and I guess
um,
it's gonna be It's gonna be a lot more healthy too.
yeah,
Like,
because like I say, the jar sauces, you haven't got the extra salt, the sugars,
mm,
all that kind of preservatives they put in the jars.
yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
a
it's more of a natural flavour.
Okay, cool. When it comes to, I guess, and again, I know this is a tough one. Like, I know I'm kind of like throwing you on the spot here when it comes to flavoring and
Yeah, right.
stuff, but when it comes to just like simple things too, like I'm thinking, most people probably have some kind of meat or fish, when it comes to like their main meals.
Yeah,
So when it comes to seasoning that, what would you recommend? Are you seasoning it
yeah. So
before? Are you letting it like, what are you doing?
so flavourings is it's actually quite a hard one because people like people like certain things, and I can't say, oh, because you put I don't know, turmeric on your fish, that's wrong, because
Yeah.
that's what they might like. But
Yeah.
I can understand some people might just think, oh, I'm going to put 5 spice and a bit of curry powder, and you're like, no, that doesn't work.
Okay.
Curry is curry, Chinese is Chinese. So yeah, there's a few things you can. There's a really cool book, but I think it's called it's like a flavouring encyclopedia.
Okay.
And actually, like, you can go through it, and it shows you. It might show you 5, 6 things that go with, you know, certain things, and it all pairs up.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, with the spices I have in my cupboard is, you know, it's endless.
Yeah.
But loads of it just sits there for ages. But one of the main seasonings I'd say that I use are not actually spices. They're, you know, like soy, fish sauce, because I'm quite into Asian cooking because it's quick and it's full of flavour.
Yeah.
So I always have a soy fish sauce and dark soy sauce, and I can put that in rice, I can put that in noodles, I can put that in broths. And it's a really good base kind of flavouring.
Okay. And would you do that at the beginning? Would you do that? How would you like cook?
Yeah, so say a ramen. So for example, we eat ramen quite a bit at home. So whether you've got egg noodles, vermicelli noodles, I would just have a chicken stock, you know, a cube straight in. That's your base chicken stock flavour. So I would always taste. So you've got the right, you don't want it salty to start with because you're going to add.
Yeah.
And then I would put like a splash of soy, a splash of fish sauce. And then you could put like coriander and chili in, and that's like a really simple, good broth.
Cool.
To start anything. And if you just wanted veg in there, you could chuck your veg into that broth.
Yeah.
And then you could just add it onto your cooked noodles, and you got a nice veggie broth done.
And
if you
got
wanted
a meal. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a meal as easy as that. And if you wanted to add chicken, or you could cook the chicken separate, you could season that up or slice it and cook it really thin. You wouldn't really want to cook the chicken in the broth because that'll turn it cloudy. All the proteins will come out of the chicken. So if you wanted to just do a quick blanched chicken, say sliced chicken, you could put that in your stock, a separate stock. Okay. And then just take that out and put it into your broth. You just don't want that kind of white protein in your broth.
It's a good tip.
That's a really nice, easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably actually too, like, probably helps out a few people out there that maybe are like vegan or veggie. Like, because you were talking about the vegetable, weren't you? Like, just chuck the vegetables in, put a splash of soy or fish sauce, and then on top of the noodles, and then you're laughing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. I guess. What else? Yeah. Any other bit on the flavoring before I move on to the next one?
So for me, I always have some nice curry pastes and Thai curry pastes in the fridge. You know, like pre-made, because I think you'll find a lot of people is if you're going to make a fresh curry paste, you need so many ingredients. Yeah. And it's not necessarily cost effective for some people.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to start, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even if you found a recipe, you know, you're talking like 10 ingredients that you've got to buy, and it's costing you a fortune, and you can buy a really nice Thai curry paste in a jar. Yeah. But you've got to find, it's a bit of trial and error. Like there's so many on the market. You want to find the one that's, you know, the better one.
Yeah. And which one do you buy? I mean, we're going to plug it in here, but which one do you tend to get?
Which one do I buy? Alex, can you grab me the Thai curry paste? I'll show you.
Yeah, that's all right. Because I chuck this up on YouTube as well. So if anybody's watching it, they can always see it. And then I can just describe it on the thing.
So I've got an Asian supermarket near me, which is handy. But this is a good one. It's May Ploy.
Yeah. Green.
So that's the green Thai curry paste, and it just comes in a bag inside. I've not even opened it yet.
Yeah. Nice. How much would that give you in terms of like actual meals?
Loads. This is a 400 gram tub.
I was going to say, it looks like a bunch.
You probably you might get 8 to 10 meals out of that.
Nice. Cool.
And that costs like 2-3 quid.
I was going to say, it's probably not expensive, is it?
No, not at all. So if you have that in the fridge and you have a tin of coconut milk in your cupboard, basically you got a curry.
Got you. So you just chuck it in, chuck it in a pan, heat it up, put whatever in.
Yeah, to keep it simple, you would just fry off the paste. You could chuck your veg in to get that, you know, all in between the veg and chicken as well, sliced chicken, coconut milk, simmer away for like 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's the basic curry. I mean, I add bits and bobs, you know, towards the end, a bit of extra fish sauce, soy. But that's a really, really simple way of making a nice homemade curry.
Okay, cool. Rice, I like that. Would you recommend like marinating your, like when we're talking about flavors and stuff, like marinating like your chicken and your fish and your meat for as long as you can?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now that everyone has time, and I guess a lot of people are probably preparing their meals ahead.
Yeah.
You know you're going to have chicken in a couple of days' time, whether it's, I don't know, Harris chicken, Thai chicken. You could even use a bit of that paste. It's quite salty as an actual paste, so you'd want to just loosen that up with a bit of olive oil or a bit of splash of water,
Okay.
and then just marinate that for a day or overnight. And yeah, that's going to bring heaps of flavour to your finished dish. Even if you just wanted a bit of simple Thai flavoured roast chicken, say, with
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
rice. You know, a lot of people eat chicken and rice, but
Yeah.
to make it a bit more interesting, rub a bit of that on it the night before. You could bake that in the oven, have it with your brown rice, steamed rice, some greens.
I like that.
Really
That's
easy.
Yeah, that's super easy. I'm gonna go pick some of that up, I think.
Yeah.
Nice, man. I think that helped. I think that was really good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you said, probably the best bet is just Googling up like a flavor encyclopedia or something. And then just finding out a few things, trying out things. And I think that's what's nice is we have time to actually just experiment. And I think you've given some really good kind of like base ideas that people can start using. So that's great. This was one that I asked. So I asked a bunch of like friends, family, clients and stuff, just, what would they want to know? And one that came out was, and I never heard this term. It's actually from my housemate who's in front of me right now, cooking a storm, if you can hear stuff. She was like, could you give us some Fakeaway tips or recipes? And I didn't know what a Fakeaway was. It was basically a takeaway, but a fake takeaway. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
when I got the email, I was like, Fakeaway. I hadn't heard of that either.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's hilarious.
It's like homemade version of a takeaway, and I was like, makes sense.
And I think you kind of just mentioned a few. You mentioned obviously like the kind of like the green Thai curry thing, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
What would be like maybe like one or two that is super easy to make that you think people might enjoy?
I guess if you're thinking about Chinese, I guess the noodles and the egg fried rice and things like that, they're super simple, and that's kind of, a lot of people always go for a Chinese that always have some sort of rice dish and a noodle dish.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, like those kind of soys and dark soy, they're kind of the basing, flavouring for, say, a chow mein noodles.
Okay.
So really simple. If you wanted egg noodles, an onion, maybe some garlic, and you can add whatever you want to this. If you like your noodles with loads of veggie, just as long as you chop it all down fine or slice it fine, so it cooks quickly, but it's still got a little bit of bite. Like your chow mein, the onions are still a bit crunchy, and your noodles are soaked. They're cooked, or I think the idea with noodles, a good thing is to cook them and chill them.
Okay.
And then you bring them back to life with the frying, and then you're reheating them that way.
Okay. So you would cook them, chill them, and then throw them back in once you're doing the rest.
I mean, a lot of the noodles you can actually buy, they're kind of cooked as well. I'm thinking more dry noodles, but some of the packs you buy that they're cooked, you just, rather than even putting them in the hot water, I would just put them in a hot pan, or I've got a wok, so I just wok fry them with the vegetables and then finish it with the seasonings, so the soy and the dark soy. And you've got like a really nice, chow mein style noodles.
Cool. Just a quick one on. Sorry, Sam. Just a quick one on that one. When you're seasoning and when you're throwing in the soy or the sauces or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you always doing that at the end?
I think if I'm stir frying the vegetables to start with, I would always, rather than season with salt, I just would season with the soy.
Got you. So it gets a bit of the flavor.
So you've always got to think about building flavor. It's it's like a journey.
Yeah.
I find a lot of people, what I'd say don't do is cook your whole meal and then season at the end.
Okay.
Because what you'll find is when you're cooking and as you go through that journey of cooking that dish, if you season as you go, you're building flavor. So if you're frying carrots and onions and things like that, you want to season now because the caramelization changes and you're building flavor as you go.
Oh, yeah.
So not too much, because obviously by the end, it's going to be over salty.
Yeah.
So I would always season a little bit, either, any meal that you're making, always season as you go, whether it's a little bit of salt, and then at the end you can always adjust. Because the last thing you want is to get to an end of a meal that you've made, taste it, and it's like really bland.
Yeah.
And then you're just trying to put salt on top to, trying its best to enhance the flavor.
Because that's one thing I think, and I'm assuming a lot of people do what I do, or maybe they don't, but I find like if I'm looking at how I'm cooking, I'll probably either go all in at the beginning, right? And just be like, oh, here we go, salt bay this stuff, like chuck whatever on. Or I'm going to go and I'm going to do it at the end. for some reason.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'll put
I
everything
think
at the
probably
end.
what it is, a lot of people are worried or they're scared that they're going to over-season it too early or, ruin the dish.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there is a fine line, but if you are that person that is a bit worried, I would just use a tiny bit at the beginning, because any little bit of seasoning through that journey, like I say, is better than just chucking it all in at the end. Or if you do it all at the beginning as well,
Yeah.
it's the salt level is always going to increase because you're reducing, or the flavors, they're cooking down, so the salt intensity will always be more by the
Okay.
time it gets to the end. So yeah, I think you just got to be careful of that. The seasoning things are hard, but I think it's just a matter of practice. And I think once you start to do it, you start to understand how things develop and flavors develop along that cooking journey.
Yeah, and I guess things will start tasting better, so you're gonna be like super pumped about it too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Okay,
it's a
cool.
bit of trial and error, but definitely don't over season.
Okay.
We've all got to watch our salt limits at the moment.
Yeah, defo.
Especially if we're talking from a nutritional perspective. If you know how much salt if you're someone that's measuring salt because you're literally measuring it because you want to be careful on how much salt intake you have,
Yeah.
I think you've got to plan that slightly. And if you know you've got, I don't know, half a teaspoon, put that half a teaspoon next to where you're cooking and just pinch from it each time, and chuck it in as you go, rather than just, at the end, there we go.
It's a good
At least
idea.
you know that you've used that amount of salt that you need or that you want to put in your meal.
Yeah, I like that.
That's
That's a good
going
idea.
to help you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, mate.
And
Bit
then
of a side tangent.
I had one other Fakeaway. So
Yeah.
everyone likes pizza. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that says, no, I don't like pizza. But
Yeah.
I think that's a nice one to make at the moment if you want to treat yourself at the weekend. And if you can find some yeast and flour, some dry yeast, I've got a really simple pizza dough recipe here.
Okay.
And that's 400 grams of flour. So you can, I think some of the supermarkets even sell like a pizza flour.
Yeah.
It's usually a different kind of flour. I wouldn't use plain flour because the gluten level is not high enough.
Okay.
I would use maybe like a baker's flour.
Okay. So is the gluten level important for a pizza dough then?
Yeah, I think it just helps to it helps to get that dough nice and stretchy, and once you work the dough and you've got that nice pizza ball, it proves nicely.
Okay. That's cool.
So it's 400 grams of flour,
Yeah.
100 grams of semolina, like fine semolina is probably going to be a bit harder to find. But if you can't find it, I would just add another 100 grams of flour.
Okay.
325 grams of warm water.
Okay.
A sachet of yeast.
Any reason why it has to be warm water?
Yeah, so when you're using dry yeast, which comes in the little sachets, warm water. So you don't want it no more than. So the way to test it, the easiest way is to close your eyes or look away, put your finger in the water, and if you're not sure if your finger is in the water or not,
Yeah.
this is a good way of feeling of blood temperature.
Okay.
If you can feel that it's in there and it's hot, it's too hot. So you need to add some more cold water. And this helps activate the yeast.
Got ya. Okay, that's cool. I like that.
So you would dissolve your yeast into your water, and that will start coming to life. And then add 5 grams of salt. So the yeast was 7 grams. That's usually one sachet. That's how they come.
Yeah.
And then about 5 grams of salt. So you put that into your flour and mix it up. Because if you add salt to the water, and it will kill the yeast instantly.
Huh. Interesting.
Because it's a living bacteria that you brought back to life. Salt will just kill it, and then you won't get any rise in your dough. So you want to disperse that into your flour nicely.
Okay.
And then add the water mix into your flour, make your dough. And then you have a nice smooth ball, and you want to let that prove. It's probably going to take an hour, 45 minutes.
Just to let it sit.
So cover it over, let it sit, and that's going to prove up. That's creating all the air bubbles in your dough. And then you want to get that out onto your worktop, shape it out into a pizza.
Yeah.
Put your sauce on or whatever. And then if you get a hot tray in the oven already, some people might have pizza stones. You can buy them in Amazon, 15, 20 quid. It's a stone that you put in your oven. They're really cool. And you can just slide your pizza straight on, oven full whack, and then just keep an eye on it, 7 minutes,
That's
8
sweet.
minutes, you've got a nice pizza.
Sweet.
And then whatever toppings.
Yeah, mate, I'm doing that this weekend. I'm doing it. For the tomato base or whatever base, like how simple would that be? What would you do?
Yeah. So again, like similar to how we started the bolognese.
Yeah.
So I would use an onion, garlic, sweat that down, a tin of tomatoes, splash of water, reduce that down, and then if you wanted to, you could blend it so it's a lot smoother.
Got yeah. So you would blend it
Or
after
chop
you've
your
cooked it for
onions.
like an hour or so, maybe?
Yeah. So if you wanted it nice, really smooth pizza base, but I mean, look, who don't, if your onions are soft anyway, does it really matter? Going to those levels?
Yeah.
Not really. So I would, and then maybe some basil. You can either finish your basil on top, after you've eaten the pizza, or actually put it in the sauce and then blend it. That'd be nice. So you've got a nice tomato basil base.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds
So
amazing.
yeah.
That
So
sounds amazing.
that's a real simple one. So yeah,
Okay.
that can be cool. And if people have got kids, you get them involved. Get them
Yeah.
putting their toppings on and things like that. So that's always that can be a
Yeah.
fun one for
Yeah,
family.
that's a great shout. And imagine being a kid, you're like 8 and you learn how to do this, man. You're gonna
Yeah.
be a legend when you get to university.
Yeah,
Everyone's gonna be
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
yo, how'd you learn this? Oh, Sam Fisk guy, man, down in London.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool, man. That was really good. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. I think people will
Just a
be
quick one on that,
yeah,
because some people are scared of the whole yeast and baking thing. There are some other recipes out there that are more like flatbreads. So
yeah,
another simple one, I can't think off the top of my head the actual quantities, but like if you look for a flatbread that contains like Greek yogurt and flour, like self-raising flour and maybe a bit of baking powder,
yeah,
that's a really, really simple one. It's not going to be like a pizza, but it's a cool flatbread. So again, you would stretch it out. You could put it in a pan to start it off,
yeah,
and get a nice brown, golden brown, and then you could put a topping on and put it under the grill. That'd be a bit like, like a flatbread.
yeah.
Um,
Could
so
you? I
that'd be
mean, you
another
could do
cool.
that on a barbecue too, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got you might struggle on the bars, but if you've got like an actual,
Yeah.
flat pan on the barbecue, that would work fine. And that's always nice to just have on the side of any meal, whether it's curries
Yeah, because
or
I've
barbecue
been
meats.
using the barbecue all the time. I got one of those Weber ones with
Yeah.
like interchangeable
Oh,
grill in the
nice.
middle. Yeah, mate, I had to. It was like one of the first things I had to get when I moved over here because we just live on barbecues back home. But yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Gonna try that one. Awesome, mate.
Cool.
So and again, I think you've mentioned a few already that probably covers this, but I had a few people that were veggie that were like, what's a quick veggie recipe on the go? But you kind of mentioned a few with like the noodles and the veggie added to it. But is there anything else that might be
Yeah. So
super easy?
I got a couple nice salads that we just had in the last few weeks, actually, because
Nice.
again, ingredients coming through the door. So
Yeah.
um, I made a really nice sweet potato salad one lunch. So peeled potatoes sliced,
Yeah.
quite thick, probably a centimetre and a half.
Okay.
Season those and just roast them in the oven until they're nice and golden.
Yeah.
And I serve that with like a bulgur wheat salad. So bulgur wheat is similar to couscous.
Okay.
It's a little bit bigger. I had apples. I found some walnuts in the cupboard, celery, and I just chopped all that up
Yeah.
and put that through the bulgur wheat with some lemon zest, olive oil, and then I just put the sweet potato on top. And it was just a really simple, really nice salad. And I think I just literally natural yogurt I had in the fridge, and I just put a few dollops of that around on top.
Okay.
So you've got like a nice sweet potato. You've got like a citrusy salad because the green apple's a good one because they're quite sharp.
Yeah.
Crunchy walnuts for texture,
Yeah.
and then a nice bit of yogurt on top for smooth, silky. So there's loads of different textures and flavors going on there, and that was a really nice one, veggie recipe.
Yeah, that's really good. I
Uh,
like that. That's super easy to do. You know, I noticed you said you put like lemon zest and olive oil. Is there a reason why
yeah.
you try to mix that together?
Well, when you find bulgur wheat and couscous can be quite dry.
Okay.
You find sometimes it's quite grainy, and I think lemon juice obviously is just a nice. It's
Yeah.
another way of seasoning, if you like, just that freshness, and then
Yeah.
olive oil just kind of binds it together.
Got you.
So it's just not so like dry in your mouth. It's a bit more, silky,
Yeah.
nice, just more of a nice mouthfeel to eat.
Yeah. Nice.
Um,
Sounds delicious, man. Making me hungry.
um, and there's another one, just a really simple tomato salad, which just to change things up a little bit. People might, people will probably not heard of this. So wasabi and mascarpone. So if you have any mascarpone or you like mascarpone, you have some in the fridge, mix that with wasabi.
Okay.
So it's a bit like horseradish, which is, beef and horseradish, but wasabi is the same family. So a big squidge of that in your mascarpone.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I do is just smooth it on the bottom of the plate and then just chop up your tomatoes and just chuck them on top.
Okay.
A few sliced onions with a bit of vinegar on top.
Okay.
So they're just like pickled onions, but just a real quick pickle. So a little bit of salt, a little pinch of sugar, and a little, sprinkling of vinegar. Leave them for 5 minutes, and you've got some nice sweet and sour pickled onions, and then some toasted pine nuts.
Yeah.
So that's a really tasty one, and you could have that on the side of a barbecue if you was having beef.
Yeah.
Rather than having like carbs, you could have a nice steak, and you could have that salad. And that's a really, really tasty one. The reason I put the mascarpone on top is just if you was to mix it, it would look awful to start with.
Got you. So the presentation's better.
Yeah. So you'd have a weird and obviously all the water comes out of the tomatoes, so your mascarpone will just end up like a puddle.
Got you. So you put it at the top. Okay.
So again, that's 4 ingredients: 5: tomato, wasabi, mascarpone, pickled shallots, and pine nuts.
Nice.
So
I
again,
like that.
a nice little salad, especially as the weather's cool at the moment. So
yeah. So I've noticed one thing, like with the salads, but even just throughout like our conversation. So when you tend to try to do like, I might just be making this up, but you mentioned like sharpness and then like a bit of salt, a bit of sugar, and then a bit of citrus, or like, you know what I mean? So you try to combine, and even then just like texture. So you try to combine a little bit of that.
Yeah,
most meals.
I think that just comes naturally, after cooking for so many years. I think when you create a dish or when you're building a dish, there's so many aspects to make it a really interesting dish. So if you go to a high-end restaurant, you'll find that whatever that dish is, you'll find those certain flavors or textures. And I think it's all about making what you're eating a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
So if you don't have those things and you've just got soft or wet, it just becomes boring.
Yeah.
For me anyway. And I think until you know and understand it. So, I have a mouthful of sweet potato that's soft, and then, I've got a walnut there I've got a bit of apple there that's really crunchy, and then I've got the nice soft bulgur wheat, and you always got different things going on. So it's I think for me that's always something that I look for when I'm creating dish. I don't even look for it. I think it just comes naturally.
Me. Well, defo, man, you're good at what you do.
I think definitely, for people at home, it's like, even if it's pomegranates, they're a nice little crunchy topping. You could put that on top of that bulgur wheat salad as well, because then you've got that little burst of sweet pomegranate on top and a little crunch. There's so many things. Crispy shallots that you can buy in little tubs. They're nice ones to finish off any Asian dishes or rice on top of rice dishes. Going down that Chinese route, and you've got that nice little crunch of crispy shallots on top.
Cool. I noticed you mentioned a few like of the recipes, and you talked about it, and I thought that's a kind of cool way of looking at building maybe a meal or a dish, I guess. But I think it's like you said, it's like you've been doing it for so long, you don't even think about it. I guarantee you right now, if I tried to make a dish with everything you've just talked about, it probably wouldn't turn out that great. That's why you practice, though.
Yeah, there's So my brother-in-law's sister, she's a real foodie, but she's vegan.
Okay.
They live in Spain actually, but she's her Instagram, which is really cool, is Wonderland Food.
Okay.
So if you wanna, she's got like a online vegan book.
Got you.
She's created. They were mad into cycling and travelled around with clients and done big cycle tours in Spain.
Yeah.
And on their journeys, they've done loads of food photography and vegan cooking.
Nice.
So there's a little shout out to them if you're looking for that real vegan.
Might be a shout to get her on actually and get her to chat through some stuff.
Yeah, she would probably she'd be up for that as well.
What was what was the tag again?
So it's Wonderland Food. So it's Wonderland_food.
Cool. I'll watch this over anyways, and I'll make that note.
Yeah, I'll drop you a message if you can't find them.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, man. Appreciate that.
That's really she's got some really cool vegan recipes.
Awesome. Cool, man. Look, I think you pretty much nailed that one. You nailed all of them really. And I know I threw in a few other questions because literally like the questions that were coming through, there were so many. And I thought, oh man, I'm giving Sam way too much here, but you're smashing it.
That's so good.
One of them, which I think is probably more for the health kind of fitness conscious people was like a 500 calorie meal
Yeah.
idea. Now, personally, I think an easy way to figure this out would just to be to track your food and then find out how much you're eating in general. And then you'll probably be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But I guess what might be like, I don't know if you had any kind of tasty 500 cal meals that you maybe whipped up quick for this, or
Yeah, so I think the one I done the other day actually on the live, which was the teriyaki salmon with vermicelli noodles.
okay.
I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that'd be under 500 calories purely because the vermicelli noodles it's those like angel hair ones. So it's not like egg noodles that contain protein, extra calories, things like that. They're just glass noodles. So I think it's rice flour and water.
Okay.
That's how they're originally made. So I just I had some fresh salmon.
Yeah.
I had teriyaki sauce out of the cupboard. I marinate that for half an hour, put it under the grill, let it kind of caramelize a little bit. That was the teriyaki salmon done.
Okay, yeah.
And then the vermicelli noodles, I had just some veg in the fridge. So I think I had carrots, spring onions, bit of garlic, ginger.
Mm-hmm.
Finally chopped all that, similar to what we said earlier, in a hot pan, sauteed off. All you do is soak your rice noodles in like hot water for about 5 minutes so they go soft.
Mm-hmm.
I chuck them straight in the wok with those vegetables, bit of soy sauce, bit of fish sauce. That's it, literally in the bowl. Teriyaki salmon on the top. If there was any of that reduced sauce in the pan, just spoon it over. A little bit of lime juice. Done.
Nice.
I think the video is still on my page, so you can see that how to make it.
Yeah, defo. And I mean, I'll get you to shout that your Insta out, but it's at Chef Fisk, isn't it?
Yeah, Chef Fisk, 2 Fs. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So you can go check that out, guys. I had a quick little gander through it. I was showing my missus and the housemate, and they were drooling, man. So it looked good. So just quick one on the saute. Because again, I'm just being selfish here. I want to make sure I'm sick chef after this. But like, you're just going hot, olive oil in the pan, throw it in, shake it up, try to do your best like Gordon Ramsay impression, flipping it and everything.
Yeah.
And then how long do you usually do it until it's caramelized, a little bit brown, and then you reduce the heat right away?
Yeah. No, so I would just go hot all the way.
All the way. Okay.
If you think of any kind of Chinese cooking in the woks, they're full on fire. It's roaring underneath.
Yeah.
So, and what you're trying to do is create that little bit of smokiness, which is what you get in kind of Asian cooking.
Yeah.
So, hot pan. If your veg is nicely finely chopped, just chuck it all in together. Your garlic, ginger, carrots, spring onions. Saute that off. Put your rice noodles in. Move it around again. Season it with your soy. You could just use soy sauce. It's fine. You're creating that Asian flavour with your spring onions and your ginger and your garlic. If you want to add loads of chili flakes, you can add chili if you like it hot.
Yeah.
And that's it. Literally, from start to finish, you're talking like cooking for 4 or 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because your salmon's gonna go in first, and then just
so
the rest of it's
what I done was got the salmon under the grill, so you can just leave it there and forget about it as long as it's not blasting. Salmon under the grill is going to take 8-9 minutes.
Yeah.
And then while that's in there, you can quickly chop your veg, or if you wanted to do that before, because I can just smash through some veg pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if you're taking your time cutting your veg, I'd probably do it first.
Okay.
And then after 5 minutes of cooking your salmon, then go for it. Get your noodles done nice and hot, and then once they're ready, you can just turn them off, leave them in the pan for a few minutes if your salmon's not ready.
Nice. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly easy, and you can probably take a lot of what you just said and apply it to a whole bunch of different meals too, couldn't you? Like,
for sure.
It's just different cuts of meat. You probably do the same thing. You can marinate it, chuck it in the oven, barbecue, whatever. In the meantime, you chop up some veg, saute it, put your flavors in there, like you mentioned.
Yeah, sliced steak. If you wanted steak, you do steak.
Yeah, super easy.
And then and then the one other dish I had, which was a bit more kind of on the lean side, would be I really like harissa. I don't know if you've used it much. So harissa paste. Harissa paste is like it's a little jar, and it just looks like pure fire. It's not too bad. It's basically chilies. Yeah. It's like a paste. Usually they have garlic for it as well.
Okay.
And oil, and for chicken it's fantastic. If you've got a chicken breast, a few slices in the top, marinate it with a harissa paste, and just roast it in the oven.
Nice.
That's a really simple one, and you could serve that with brown rice.
Yeah.
And then just brown rice is brown rice. At the end of the day, you could add whatever you want to it. But if people just want it plain, because the harissa is strong, I wrote down harissa chicken, brown rice, and then preserved lemon yogurt. Harissa, preserved lemons, they're kind of that North African flavour. Or so preserved lemons is a nice one. If you have a small jar, I would cut. So they're kind of gulpable size.
Okay.
You want to scoop out the middle. It's really the middle is not what you want. There's seeds and things like that. So I would cut them in half and in quarters, scoop out the middle, and then just finely chop up the preserved lemon. Put that through some yogurt with some salt, pepper, and then just have your brown rice, chicken, and a few dollops of the yogurt. That will give you a bit of relief from the heat of the chili as well. And then maybe just some greens on the side, some grilled, grilled tender stem broccoli.
Yeah.
Or a really cool one that we love eating is hispy cabbage. They're like the skinny pointy cabbage.
Okay.
So they're kind of that size at the bottom, and they go to a point. They're known as like sweetheart cabbage, hispy cabbage, pointy cabbage. It's just all the same.
Yeah.
They're really cool to just cut into a wedge and just put olive oil and salt on top and bake them in the oven for like 10 minutes.
Nice. That sounds
great. They burn up around the edges, but it's really sweet in the middle.
I never had that before. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Funny enough, roast cabbage is actually one of the really, it's a really tasty veg to eat. And that can be with any dish, whether it's, your roast dinner or barbecue. But that kind of charriness on a sweet cabbage is really, really nice.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to have to try that. I think those are really good, man. And I think, like I said, I think they carry over to a lot of different meal possibilities as well, just from like the few bits that you mentioned. Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. Smashing it. Absolutely smashing it. I'm not going to lie. I was like expecting big things, but you're blowing me away so far. You're just making, I think it's going to massively help a lot of people. Like in my head, you were talking, I was like, man, the guys are going to fucking love this. Like, cause we, even just my mom shares everything I chuck on, but like, she's like, oh yeah, like all of our friends and family are doing all your little recipes. Cause I've been doing like ridiculous recipes on TikTok and stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, they're really good. I'm like, well, wait till you get Sam Fisk on here. It's gonna be next level. So, all right, cool. Just a few more, mate, because I know I'm taking some of your time. I appreciate it. So the other one was just like
time's free at the moment.
Nah, it's all good. One that was brought up was like cupboard cooking, and I'm assuming it's just, again, it's like, whatever the hell you have in your cupboard and you're trying to figure it out. And again, through the last kind of 45 minutes, you kind of said, oh, I found this and I found that and I found this and I chucked it together. And I think for those of us that don't have your knowledge and we're kind of just like, I don't know, what do you think might be in our cupboards that we could easily use?
I think a lot of people have tins of chickpeas. They buy chickpeas and go, yeah, I'm going to make some hummus. And it just stays there for like a year or two. And it's like, I don't really know what else to do with it. But that for me, it's like, it's a good staple to have in the cupboard, and it's so versatile.
Okay.
Even to like the point where you can just put them on an oven tray and put olive oil and salt on them and just roast them till they go crispy and put them on top of a salad. As simple as that. Or chuck them in a veg stew. You know? So all your veg cooked down and tinned tomatoes again, and chuck some chickpeas in and let them stew away. They'll soak up all the nice veg flavors. Chickpeas is definitely a cool one to have, and then hummus again. That's good to make. The wife's sending me notes like that. I can't see though.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, that was cool actually. We found this the other day. So chickpea juice, like the thick juice they come in. If you drain them off, you can use that as an alternative to make meringues.
For the juice?
Yeah. So it's got I don't want to get too technical, and you can use it for cocktails as well.
Okay.
So when you get like a whiskey, I think it's a whiskey sour, and they put egg whites in it.
Yeah.
You can use that juice, and it froths up loads, and then you've got that whiskey sour that's vegan.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. There we go. We're about to get chickpeas stock through the roof after this. All right, I like that. That's a good one.
So yeah, chickpeas are cool, and I've got some staples that I always have. So vinegar.
Okay.
I think vinegar is so underrated, and people don't use it enough in their cooking.
Yeah.
And that might even just be to put a splash in. It could be anything. Like if you even your gravy at home. So you've got like a really rich beef gravy that you're going to have in the winter on a Sunday roast. A little splash of red wine vinegar in your gravy, takes it to another level. And rather than have it like heavy rich, it kind of gives that vibrancy that kind of lightens it up a bit.
Is that
So
like the sharp? Is that how you would describe like a bit of sharpness with the vinegar? Is that what you would say?
yeah. So acidity, it's that little bit of acidity to kind of bring the richness level down slightly.
Okay.
Um, and then using vinegars in salads and pickles. I mentioned a few times through the podcast that I pickle things myself, and sometimes that's just a little splash of vinegar on some onions just to kind of take that harshness away of a raw onion.
Yeah.
But give you that nice pickleness as well. Stock cubes or vegetable stock powder, chicken powder. They're so good for your base broths or any kind of cooking of veg. If you wanted to boil veg, it's always good. You can have a bit of stock cubes.
Nice.
They always come in handy.
Yeah.
And then again, the soy sauce, fish sauce, they're great cupboard essentials. Coconut milk always.
Yeah, surprisingly, mate. So far, I've got everything in my cupboard that you're talking about, so I'm buzzing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Coconut milk.
Yeah.
Because like I said, coconut milk can be used in so many different, Asian styles of cooking, whether it is Thai or whether it's more Malaysian. So you've got the curry base, but with coconut makes a more Malaysian style curry. Or
Okay.
if you've got coconut in the Thai curry paste and you're making Thai curry, and that can come in really handy. Or if you're just really looking for something sweet and you've got some rice and coconut milk, just make the coconut rice pudding.
Yeah. That's what we do. My missus always does like this coconut rice recipe thing. It's quite good. But I think we're definitely going to start doing more Malaysian kind of Thai style dishes now.
Yeah, and then honey. I always have honey because rather than using sugar all the time, I just find honey can be, a better alternative.
Okay.
Than than hardcore kind of white sugar.
Yeah.
Or any kind of refined sugars. Lots of health people use different kinds of sugars and coconut sugars and things like that.
Yeah.
They're always good to have in the cupboard as an alternative to normal sugar.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah,
one.
that's kind of my 6 kind of staples that are good to have in your dry store cupboard.
Yeah, mate, that's class. And like I said earlier, you've come out and you've just dropped so many recipes. Like it's sick. It's just awesome. And I think you just keep on going a step further every time. Like if people don't know what to cook after this podcast, if they listen to it, I can't help you. Like I really can't.
If any people can come away with one dish or a couple of recipes, then it's all good. It's happy.
Exactly, man. That's sick. Two more left to go, pal. Two more. One that came up as well was batch cooking recipe ideas that might be different. So different to maybe a lasagna, which is still difficult to make. I made one not that long ago, and I was like, man, this is hard work. And it wasn't even homemade like pasta sheet, so that would have been next level. But what are some like easy batch cooking recipes, I guess, that maybe you use or you do or things like that?
So when you said about batch cooking and you said, "Oh, not lasagnas and shepherd's pie," I was thinking, well, that's actually, it's a good question. I had to think about it, a little bit because I don't necessarily do loads of batch cooking at home, but I can totally understand, people that are busy working, going to the gyms. This is a massive kind of benefit for them to have some stuff in the freezer. So I racked my brains for a bit, and funny enough, last night I cooked a whole lamb shoulder, even though there's only 2 of us in the house.
Yeah.
But the reason I was to do that is because already we had a meal last night and now I've got 4 kind of takeaway tubs full of slow cooked lamb.
Yeah.
So what I'll do with that is I'll probably put 3 of those in the freezer and I'll keep one in the fridge for a couple of days. But from that, I can make so many different dishes, whether it's lamb tortillas or lamb tacos or a lamb curry or lamb flatbreads with yogurt,
Yeah.
And some people absolutely love slow cooked meats, but it's a labor of love and it takes a lot of time. But if you like that kind of thing, or it's so easy then to pull one out of the freezer before you go to work, and by the time you get home, you've got really nice slow cooked lamb, and you can saute it in a pan and put it in a wrap, or
So what would you do for a lamb or like a big chunk of meat that you're trying to slow cook? How do you usually go about it?
So yesterday I put mine in at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It was a whole shoulder. It's probably a good 3 kilos. It was big. loads of seasoning on top. I put it in a tray with some chopped onions and garlic and herbs underneath.
Okay.
And then I just left it open, no cover, at about 130, 140 degrees.
Okay.
And just slowly let it cook down, and all the juices go into the veg, all the fat drips down into the veg. And then that was it. So, 7 hours, I think. About 6, 7 o'clock, I took it out of the oven, let it rest for about, half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
And we literally had the pulled lamb, we had a flatbread, yogurt, pomegranates, some fresh mint, tomatoes, cucumber, all on kind of a little wrap, and that was our Sunday dinner.
Nice.
Um,
And when you're
but
seasoning it,
like,
all right, sorry, mate. When you're seasoning it, like,
yeah,
because again, you always see people do it differently. Are you like getting your hands dirty, rubbing all the seasoning all over it, and then just making sure like you putting slits in it?
yeah.
Are you
So
trying to get it infused or any of that?
not no. So this is quite not, I wouldn't say plain, but it's got loads of flavour because of underneath the herbs and the thyme, rosemary, and all that's kind of steaming through it slightly.
Yeah.
I'd say halfway through, I put a pint of water in the bottom of the tray,
Okay.
because the veg will start to burn.
Yeah.
So the first few hours they're slowly cooking down and caramelizing, and then I put a pint of water into it, and that doesn't really dissolve away because the oven's not like 190. It's not roasting. It's just slowly kind of cooking through.
Okay.
So yeah, I just rubbed it with olive oil all over, and then quite a lot of salt, because if it's a dry piece of meat, then the salt will just fall off. And you're talking as thick as that. So when you see people putting loads of salt and they go, oh, that's a lot, you don't forget, the piece of meat's that big, so the salt's got to penetrate. So yeah, you need to be quite liberal when you season in big chunks of meat, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't do. They'll get a big piece of beef like that, and then just put a tiny little sprinkle on top, and you're like, no, you need to really rub that in, and you need to cover it in salt, because the meat's as thick as that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to have a bland piece of roast beef that you've been taking care of roasting.
Yeah, I've definitely done that. I've definitely made that mistake, thinking I've put enough seasoning on, and then it comes out, and I'm like, oh, it's good, but it's not got that punch that I was waiting for. Like,
yeah, I always say to like my friends that ask me, oh, I've got this piece of meat, and I'm like, season it again, and then when you think it's over seasoned, season it again.
Okay.
Because for me, for someone who's not a chef, it's just that understanding.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't know, and they're worried. But then when they do it, and then, oh mate, that beef was unreal. Once we cut through the middle, and the outside was salty, but once you eat it all together and it's the middle bit, it's lovely.
Nice.
It makes a big difference. So,
Nice.
yeah, that's a cool one for batch cooking. And then like the tomato sauce we made earlier.
Yeah.
They're like the pizza base. If you wanted to make, I don't know, four tins of slow cooked kind of tomato sauce, that's a cool one to freeze down. And then, if you're coming home and you want a quick pasta dish, microwave, a few minutes, tomato sauce ready, on top of your pasta, fresh basil, bit of parmesan, you're done in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's class. That's good.
A cool one. And then I always say to a lot of people is buy frozen berries. There's nothing wrong with frozen berries. So many people are, I don't want to buy berries. It's £4 for a punnet of blueberries that's that big, or they're expensive fresh berries. So you can buy a half kilo bag of frozen mixed berries in any of the supermarkets, and they're superb to have in a freezer, because if you want them for breakfast in the morning, you could take a small bowl the night before, and you can put that straight in your yogurt, a bit of honey, you're away. You don't have to worry about defrosting them and things like that. So frozen berries is always a good one. It's not bulk cooking, but it's more like
it's a quick win.
It's a quick win for people. And then, yeah, I think, like you said, the bolognese, I know a lot of people have that, but again, don't just think your bolognese can just be bolognese.
Yeah.
If you've got a bolognese, but you want a chili, take them out, chuck a tin of red kidney beans in, some chili powder and a bit of cumin, and you've got a chili straight away.
Nice.
When you're reheating it, it doesn't have to be for bolognese. It can be your base for, that for a nice chili as well, like chili con carne.
Yeah, I think that's a game changer. I think that how you explain the bolognese, or just the sauces and how you make them, is a game changer. Even just for me, it just made me realize I just don't need to buy any of the tinned or glass jar stuff anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of cooking is confidence, and a lot of people don't have confidence, but until you give it a go and, you know, you make mistakes and you'll learn from those mistakes and not do them again. I think you've just got to push yourself slightly, just like you'd push yourself going to the gym and, you know, that extra 10 kilos that you never thought you'd lift, but you know, then you become lifting it. It's, you know,
exactly.
And
the big thing is, like, especially from my perspective and having had, you know, like 10 coaches on the podcast recently, and some of them I didn't know, some of them I knew really well. Like, everyone always talks about, well, people don't know how to cook. People struggle to adhere to a diet. They struggle with food because they don't know how. And it goes back to, well, if I gave you 25 recipes that you can now cook confidently and you're competent, like, you're probably going to find it a lot easier to stick to a diet because you enjoy the food you like, right? Or that you eat, so you enjoy the food you eat, versus maybe just thinking, oh, here we go again, I'm just going to eat something super bland that's going to be chicken and rice and broccoli on the side, which is like, it's not sustainable. People are, I guarantee people are like mouth's been watering the whole time you've been talking today. So yeah, that's class. Awesome, mate.
Cool.
So last kind of bit before we do a bit of a quick fire round, it was, and again, you've kind of touched base on like your cupboard cooking, what you had in the cupboard, but what's your top 3 ingredients that everybody should have in the kitchen? So this is usually like the flavor of the week segment because we're called the Fitness Burrito. So what's the top 3 ingredients you think everybody should have?
I wrote down a couple, but not necessarily from a flavor perspective, but tin tomatoes, they can be used in so many different ways. And I think it's a good store cupboard essential. If you're running out of ingredients, you don't know what to cook one night, generally most people have pasta in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And straight away you can make a nice tomato sauce. You've got your pasta, you can put some parmesan on, you know, as simple as that could be. It's a nice fresh meal.
Yeah.
So tin tomatoes is always a nice one. It can go in curries, it can go in anything. So that's a good essential. Again, back to the curry pastes.
Yeah.
In the fridge, always have a couple of curry pastes, you know. And like you said earlier, whether you turn that into a marinade, whether that goes into a curry, that's always a great essential to have in the fridge. And then again, for me, vinegar.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be like, vinegar. Like, I think you've got to understand vinegar, what it actually does to a flavor profile and how it can enhance a dish, or, you know, enhance your veg or salads or anything like that, and use it within moderation just to build that flavor. That's a really kind of important one that I have at home. I've got all sorts of vinegars, whether it's red wine, apple cider, Chardonnay, port vinegar. I've got all sorts of vinegars, but they all come in handy different ways. So vinegar for me is always a staple in my cupboard. So
nice.
Yeah, they're my 3 for this week.
That's class. Mate, that's really good. And like I said, you mentioned a lot of stuff already that I think people are going to take away. So that's brilliant, mate. Usually the whole thing we would do with the flavor of the week, the idea was if I went to yours or you came to mine, like I would always cook you a burrito. So now my burritos are going to be next level. Like, cause now I know things, I know my flavors a bit more. Classmate, well, listen, we'll do a little quick fire round. So you don't have these questions. Yeah. Half the time they're just off the top anyways. It's just to have a bit of a laugh and kind of see what, just get to know you a little bit more. So first question is, and I probably know the answer already, but what's your go-to meal? What's your go-to meal no matter what?
Go-to meal at home? Probably spaghetti bolognese.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always there floating in every other week or so. So that's a good go-to. And then I'd say the odd Asian dish.
Cool, nice. I thought you were gonna say like some kind of curry or something because you were big on the paste. So I thought that was gonna be your go-to. But
yeah, right. I don't have curries too much though. They're more like the odd treat.
Yeah, defo. They're a bit more calorific too, I imagine.
With the coconut milk, yeah.
Yeah. What would you be doing if you weren't a chef? What would you be doing?
Ski instructor.
Yeah, nice. Still in the Alps?
Yeah. In the States.
Okay, nice. Cool. Probably stay away from the States right now, bro.
Funny enough. Yeah.
Sorry, what you gonna say?
For sure. Yeah. No, I was going to say when I was on the end of my ski season, I actually started training to be an instructor, and I was like one exam away from being able to teach in parts of Europe. So I didn't follow it through, unfortunately, but yeah, definitely be on the list of jobs to do.
Nice, man. Nice. No, it's all right. So Lee's kind of the next question, but what's the go-to holiday destination?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm fortunate enough that I've travelled a lot of the world. I didn't mention earlier that me and the wife, we took a year out about 7 years ago and travelled the world for a year.
Nice.
But go-to destination, Vietnam was probably one of our
Up
favourite
there.
places on our travels. Yeah, so yeah, we fell in love with Vietnam.
Yeah. I
And then
heard
one
good
of the best,
things. Heard good
yeah,
things.
the food, just incredible. Loved it, absolutely loved it. That's probably where I've got a lot of the Asian influence from. Spending time in Asia.
Yeah.
Spent a good 3 months kind of traveling around Asia and exploring the food things. So yeah, maybe Vietnam.
Cool. Nice one. What's your kind of like fan favorite sport? I notice you have a San Fran hat on, but what's the
Yeah, so
go-to
from
sport?
my sister lives in New York, so we've always kind of travelled there a lot, and we had our honeymoon a year, or I forget now, year and a half ago.
Be careful. Be
Getting,
careful.
getting, getting evils from over there.
Yeah.
Uh, we spent some time in San Fran, so that's why, hence the hat. But sport. I fish. Funny enough, I fish.
Nice.
Yeah, I fished competitively for quite a few years, most Sundays.
Okay.
Um, but I kind of UK fishing is a little bit different to what people might think of sea fishing. So it's more lake fishing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my main hobby at the moment. And I like cycling. I've got back into cycling again recently through quarantine. So
Nice, mate.
yeah,
Well, listen,
back.
fishing East Coast of Canada, we've got some good fish spots.
Yeah,
I
we went to Tofino on our
okay.
honeymoon,
Nice.
which is kind of right off that kind of coast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Went to Vancouver and Whistler. We spent some time there. That
Nice,
was
man.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if ever you make it to the Maritimes, which is the east coast of Canada, go get some fishing in.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
we've got some really good seafood on that side. What's your go-to casual pair of sneakers?
Or go-to casual pair of sneakers. It's got to be Nike Air Max. I've
Nice.
got quite a few of the 270s at the moment. That's my kind of go-to at the moment.
Nice. Most people, for some reason, I was waiting for you to say Yeezys because everyone's just been saying Yeezys lately. So it's just one of them. And then last one, mate. Besides London, what's your favorite city in the UK?
In the UK, well, that's a hard one. Funny enough, I've travelled a lot of the world, but I've not travelled loads of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a nice spot we go to, which is down in a place called Broadstairs
Okay.
on the Kent coast, so Essex Kent coast.
Nice.
I've got a good friend who lives down there, and that's a beautiful part of the world that not many people kind of venture out to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need
And
to
that's
see more. I need to see more of the UK, man. I've seen a lot of the north, kind of east, west part, but I haven't been down south at all.
yeah, there's some nice spots. Kind of yeah, so Broadstairs at Kent coastline. Um, but I've been to I can't think the name's lost me now. It's down towards Brixham.
Okay.
Brixham's a lovely part of the world. That's kind of heading towards Cornwall way.
Yeah.
Uh, that's where we get loads of fish. There's loads of fishing ports
Yeah.
there.
Heard
And
it's
the
really
food,
nice down there.
yeah, so Brixham's a cool place to visit. So there's my two
Nice.
in the UK. Yeah.
Awesome, Matt. Well, listen, that pretty much sums up the quick fire round. We keep it fairly brief, but just wanted to say again, mate, massive thanks for coming on this.
No problem.
Kind of threw out a bit of an invite. Wasn't sure if it was going to stick, but yeah, I think you're definitely going to help a load of people. You definitely helped me. I'm going to make my missus, my housemate, listen to this 100% because
Yeah.
I think it's going to make our cooking better. So just a quick
Yeah.
outro.
Yeah. I was
Sorry,
just gonna
mate.
say, yeah, going forward in a month's time, we wanna go again, then yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. And I know we talked about doing maybe a little bit of like a live kind of Zoom cooking thing. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
one,
I mean, I've started doing them, and my kitchen's not ideal to do it, but we can try and definitely work something out. And having you on there, chucking some questions away would be really cool.
yeah, defo, mate. Because we've got a group of we've got a couple groups of people that we try to help out and motivate, especially this time, because it's just crazy. So we're trying to help out as much as we can, and I think it's something that they would massively enjoy. And it's kind of fun. It's just different too. So thanks again, Sam Fisk, for coming on. Sam, just quick outro from yourself, mate. Where can people find you? Social media, what do you got going on in your life, all that stuff?
Yeah, so Instagram, Chef Fisk. You can see what I get up to on the live. Not every day, but every few days I'll be on the live cooking a meal. But definitely some of my sourdough and baking's going up at the moment. So keep an eye out for that.
Nice, man. So yeah, check them out. I'm definitely going to check them out. As always, I'm Dan Q, guy behind Abante Performance and the podcast. You can just find me at Abante Performance, so ABANTE. And yeah, mate, thanks again. I'm just going to stop this recording here. So just 1 second, pal.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.